Hello everyone, Santier here, and I should probably, if I want to keep my camera up top, I should probably adjust it. We'll see. Anyway, today I'm going to continue the Skill Booster League playthrough on Dakota Fleming here. For those who maybe aren't super familiar with what Skill Booster League is using this guy over here. It is a thing that, as far as I'm aware, I invented. It's themed after a booster league for a trading card game like Magic the Gathering, for example, which is where I'm familiar with it from. And so I have a list of skills and number of copies that I have available, and when certain things happen, I give myself more skills by opening a booster pack. That's how this works. So the timing is like when I enter a new region, get a new hero. So these limit what skills I can use on my hero specifically. Because this character did it from creation as a new character, I'm not worrying about trying to limit her skills in that regard because she is inherently limited based upon like what I've done, like how far in the game she's gotten and stuff. So where did we leave off? Well, that's not relevant at the moment. Primary quests. Okay. Floodplains of Macklon. Let's open up some hero panels. Those certainly are some bars. Probably be fine. This amount of knockdown's probably not super great. It's probably alright. How many hexes do I have? I have empathy. Okay, calculated risk, inept, arcane conundrum. That looks like a decent amount. Should be fine. Okay, I obviously was just capturing skills in the Barbarous Shore because I have Crippling Anthem on my bar. I don't feel like I need to keep it there. I don't think Club of 1,000 Bears is going to do me a whole lot of good. I may have been using Way of the Assassin. I think I will continue to do so. Slash warrior for whirlwind attack. And you know what? Dash for a gap closer. That seems good. Okay, so my current objective is to go help the Master of Whispers in the floodplain of Macklon. So let's go do that. I think there's actually a skill I want to capture out here, now that I think about it. Although it might not be here during this quest. I'm not actually sure on that front. I think I might poke my nose a little bit further this way. Okay, Admiral Kaya is there. Okay, let's go just bring a Signet of Capture with me so I can go capture whatever that is. I'm going to drop that for now. Probably is not the most important thing. I think it's hidden Caltrops, if memory serves me correctly. Which is, to be clear, not like my favorite skill or anything. Also, I'm noticing Zenmai doesn't have an elite, but I'm not sure what I'd give her. Bar seems fine. Assassin, the importance of assassin combos means that they really needed more lead and offhand attacks that would be like useful to include as skills, because like as it is, it's very easy to construct a bar that just doesn't want an elite because like what are you going to slot in? Like there's a fundamental lack of just kind of like lead and offhand attacks they just slot in. Like Temple Strike, Golden Skull Strike are offhands, and then Mobius Strike you could just slot in, I suppose, but otherwise it can be a little awkward to use if things are dying too quickly, which can happen in normal mode. There's no like lead attack that I'd want to use, or these offhands are clunky at best. Are you ready? It's time to slay these Droughtlings. Yes, I am ready. But I'm going to take a slightly wide path because I want to go through the Corsair over here. Get this microphone in a slightly better position. What people are doing today, whenever it is that you're watching this. I myself am doing pretty well. Enjoyed playing some Shantae and the Seven Sirens earlier. And then took a lunch break and watched some episodes of Legend of Korra. While doing so. And now we're here. I feel like I maybe have aggroed a lot. Hidden Caltrops. Hidden Caltrops is one of those skills that's got nerfed into the toilet because of PvP, I'm pretty sure. By which I mean, your non-assassin skills are disabled for 10 seconds. It's like, why would you do that? And I think it's because Mesmers were able to use it to too much effect. I had to guess. Because this doesn't have the half range, for one thing. But the problem with that is, disabling all of my non-assassin skills makes it really hard to do the cool thing about this game. Or one of the cool things, which is the dual profession system. So I could use this and immediately disable that for 10 seconds. It's like, great. You just made it so that way I can't use this skill on any character that wants to do multiple things. Ow. That was nicely timed. If it's not clear, I really don't like skills that say disable everything that is not of your profession. I think it's really bad design. I'm going to say it. I think it's bad design. The reason why I think it's bad design is because I think it runs contrary to what's cool about the system. If you didn't want Mesmers using hidden caltrops in PvP, then make it do something different. That makes it less good for a Mesmer. And be something that you want to use on a physical attacker. Or just nerf it in PvP and don't nerf it in PvE, and just really you should just be changing it. If it's something where you think that is too great and too powerful to allow to exist, just do something different. It's never going to change at this point. Nobody's going to come back and fix it, but I do think it's fundamentally incorrect. I do have some lockpicks. Well, let's open this corner chest then. I kept my lockpick. I had 4 before, and I still have 4. How much condition removal do I have? Spotless Souls, that's some condition removal. Olivia has Foul Feast, so that's condition removal. She can also Mending Touch if she's close to you, but that probably won't happen with me much. And then a Smite condition? It's okay, but we're a little on the lighter side. I mean, that wasn't worth it, really. How briefly that's going to be around. Skull. Alright, let's go and... We got those Droughtlings over there. I think we might actually have to run back. I don't know why they told us to take out the group near Deja first, because I think we might need to go back to Deja when we're done. All the way over there. So 5 groups remain. Okay, we're getting close there. Taking out 3. That's getting pretty close. My poor encoder. I don't know what to do about that. I feel like it's become a little bit more of a problem. I don't know if it's a sign of too much wear on my graphics card. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't as big of a problem at one point in time, but I don't know. There've always been like little things that like to come up though. Okay, that was the last group apparently. Yeah. Sometimes geography of this game is very strange in terms of where it lets you walk and not walk. Getting hung up on something back there. Would have been better to start with that group and work our way this way though. But that's not where the star was, and I guess I could have just tracked them down on my own. But it's one of those things where, like, I don't know why the developer didn't set it up the other way. Whoop. Got past Asia there. Yeah, we were ready. Take us to Rilohn Refuge. Get Master of Whispers in my party. Get out of here. No, hidden caltrops. I don't need you. I'm gonna drop that. I want pain inverter. And critical eye. Zenmai is almost leveled to 20. Okay, so I got Master of Whispers. This is where I can show. I just got Master of Whispers, so I go into this. I find the set that's called Nightfall Necromancer right here. And I add a booster. Oh, good. Tainted Flesh and Toxic Chill. A bunch of other stuff. Putrid Explosion's not bad. So most of it's, a good chunk of it's probably duplicates, but I got a bunch of new stuff too, which is down here after the rest because it hasn't been sorted in yet. Everything else has been sorted, so it increased the numbers and everything, but the Blood of the Aggressor. Rip enchantments are really nice to pick up, actually. I like having this as an enchantment removal option because it's quick. Toxic Chill and Venom enchantments. This one is less exciting as enchantment removal to me. Vocal Minority. Dark Aura. This one's good for gimmicks, but... Hey, Dream Farts 416? Welcome. Strip Enchantment, also really glad to have. I got a lot of good enchantment removal that I apparently was lacking, so that's nice. Okay, so do I have... I might want to bring Soul Leech. Like at this point, the person that I want to drop is Zenmai. I'm going to boot Zenmai and grab Master of Whispers. Quick check. Elias, how did I build you? Okay, you're my death magic guy. Cool. And I imagine Livia is... Yeah, she's blood magic. Okay, I need to bring Master of Whispers into this mission. I don't have any Lightbringer yet. No, I wouldn't have gotten to the guy who has that. Oh, that's a terrible seize the day. Steel daggers can contain steel. Nope, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. I'm just salvaging some stuff down. I feel like a whalekin wand is likely to be wood, so I'm not gonna salvage that. That's already identified. Icy? I don't think I need icy. Oh, get in the... Oh. And I'm full up on bone. Of course I am. Okay. Let's merchant this stuff. I think I want to give... Yeah, it does seem like there's been an uptick in it. I think there's a lot of people who have heard about Guild Wars 2 going to Cantha, and they want to go check that out themselves in Guild Wars 1. I think that's part of it. Another aspect, I suspect that might be happening. Actually, a decent attribute spread for what I want to do here. I'll worry about ruining him up later. But another thing... so yeah, I think that there's probably some amount of people that are anticipating the sequel. Actually, you know what? No, let's go get some runes for him, and then I'll close a build. So I do want to use Soul Leech here. My brain's in a couple places at once, so I probably should wait to finish that thought. And I also probably want Strip Enchantment, because... Or maybe more, because there's going to be a lot of enchantments I'm going to deal with. I do have a Shatter. I think a Shatter is insufficient, though. I think there's also potentially people that are wanting to get some of the titles and whatnot. I certainly welcome it. I think the game's awesome, and the more people playing it, the better. Okay, I want Minor Blood, Minor Death, Minor Soul Reaping, and Superior Curses. There we go. I'm not surprised that Minor Curses is kind of pricey. There's a lot of really useful stuff in Curses. Undertakers is actually getting pricier than Tormentors at this point. This actually makes a certain amount of sense. I like this on Bippers because they go low on HP, so... Do I want Bone Lace, or do I want anything in particular? I might get him some Radiance. Heh! Really? Wow. Guess the Char have gone soft in their... What, old age? Yep, Char were super ruthless. Hey, man with a plan. Good to see ya. Huh. That's interesting. Like, I was playing this game long before Guild Wars 2 came around, so it's really interesting to hear the perspective of people who came from Guild Wars 2 back to Guild Wars 1. Let's see. So how much is Strip Enchantment stripping for? 1? Let's do that. Yeah, I want 2 to come off with this. I also think Rip Enchantment might be good. I know I just got that. I know I just got these 2. Strip Enchantment and Rip Enchantment. And there's Rip. What else do I want going on here? Enfeebling Blood is good. Since the fall of the Flame Legion. Yeah. I'm mostly going to have to deal with casters here. I can see bringing Meekness, though. Spot in here somewhere. Didn't I? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, definitely the Flame Legion was heavily affecting their civilization. Where's Weaken Armor? Rigor Mortis is not a bad idea. And let's go ahead. What do I have for resurrection options that I'm not using? That aren't rebirth. Does it continue to be the case that this character just... am I using the Restore Life? I am. I'm using it on Zed. Frankly, I might just drop a Resig on him and call it good. I don't think I have any other Ritualist reses either here. Skill Booster League limits my skill options, because I have to build differently than I would otherwise. Yeah, okay, I'm pretty sure I don't have Flesh in my Flesh. Life. Yeah, okay. Let's just slap a Resurrection Signal on him and call it good. Boom. There, calling it good. Okay, Deja, let's go in and fight ourselves a drought. Yeah, I do have that res. That's a good one. Alright, she's gonna Prince Rurik here. By which I mean run up into enemy groups and force us to fight them on her terms instead of ours. And then yell at us to hurry up. Yeah, Splinter Weapon. Oh, we do have this. Blessed Light's really good cleansing. Somehow I looked past that. Get back here. Where do you think you're going? Is it styling on them to kill the priest last? Oh, well, we didn't. There's some other person that was still there. This is my blessed armor. Yeah, it's probably still worth rolling with. I'll get enough random enchantments thrown on me. I don't think I need the energy of my Radiant set, so those are the only two armor sets she has right now. See, now I want to loot all of these, and then she's going to run off ahead. Then she's going to complain about being attacked. I'm going to say it now. Deja, worse than Prince Rurik about running off. Just worse. Granted, we don't go through the whole mission, but... Yeah, they changed a lot. I feel like they did that so they wouldn't feel like they had to try to make maps identical to Guild Wars 1 with more polygon counts. Kind of like explore stuff and whatnot. And I don't object to the idea at its base, but I do kind of wish that there'd been a little bit less change. I don't know how much geography typically changes in 250 years, but it feels like they went a little overboard to me. Okay, that priest is getting the business end of my daggers. I mean, the games just have two very different design philosophies when it comes to making maps, so that's the largest factor in sort of the disconnect I feel exists. They definitely have a lot of the large features in the right place, but they feel very different. But it's been quite a while since I played any Guild Wars 2, because I personally don't enjoy the game. I'm glad that there are people who do, though, and I'm glad that they have it to enjoy. Yeah, Kryta has changed a lot in those 250 years. I'm still perplexed about how the ruins of the Granite Citadel rotated like 180 degrees. But anyway. I accept that they just wanted to do a very different thing with how they set stuff up. And well, the feel that they were going for in places was a bit different than what they were trying to do in this one as well. And just, like, the way they're laying out maps and everything is completely different, too. Yeah, there's a lot. I think I could speculate a lot. Stuff that I don't know, but just kind of guess from, like, stuff that they talk about marketing-wise. I kind of have the impression, like, I know the reason that they stated why they wanted to go make a sequel in the first place was that they were wanting to get past the engine limitations that Guild Wars 1 had. So they just wanted to kind of do a much bigger thing. They wanted, I think a lot of it is, like, wouldn't it be cool sort of thing. I don't know. They were very experimental in ways that I think were a little bit too much, and then landed in some very standard places in other ways. I personally prefer instance maps. There's a lot of design. Persistent open world maps come with a lot of design challenges that I don't think there's very many good solutions to, and I prefer not having those restrictions. I don't like the way that some of that stuff gets solved. I'm not gonna pull that lever. I want Master's Reward here, and it's faster anyway. Okay. I want that. Olivia, you should do it to yourself as well. Yep. Hitting the wrong button sometimes. I personally prefer Guild Wars 1 style builds. But they are just different styles, and I can see strengths to the way Guild Wars 2 works as well. It just happens to be to me, the thing with Guild Wars 2 is that fundamentally its design is such that the what's the words I'm looking for? It's very much so a single player game played together as opposed to a team-based game like Guild Wars 1 is. Now, that might not apply in some of the higher end areas. I don't know. I haven't done any raiding, for example, and I've done the dungeons, but not much. But it very much so feels like a single player game played together as opposed to a team-based game. What do we got? Major Spear Mastery. Pretty sure that's not worth anything. Oh, okay. I don't need cloth. Good to note. I'll check that rune at some point in time here. You're a merchant. Have some cloth and a whaleken wand. Okay. Do I want to bring Master of Whispers here? I feel like... Okay, whatever I do, I probably want to run more of a snaring build. Yeah, I'm going to drop my critical strikes and... Nope, Dagger Master can stay. Deadly Arts, please. I'm going to drop that. I'm probably going to do a different combo as well. Black Mantis Thrust seems good for what I want to do here. Now, the question I have is... Oh, I don't have... Okay, noted. Duly noted. I'm going to slide that over there. Actually, I should probably go... Are you talking about in Guild Wars 1? Or Guild Wars 2? Most of, if not all, PvE content soloable. In Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I know. I was watching Wooden Potatoes' series while that was ongoing. I guess maybe I'm not using Deadly Arts. I was going to use Shadow Prison, but then I didn't have it, so... I think it's capped later on in this. But I was watching his series. And I know he did the dungeon solo. I'm still going to Dark Prison. My goodness. You just get so much damage out of Death Blossom, it's really, really, really hard to outcompete it. Unfortunately. It might be weird to hear me say unfortunately about that, but I personally think things are better when you have reason to make differing choices. So I think... let's just throw on Assassin's Promise. I think Death Blossom being as strong as it is detrimental to the build craft of the game. There we go. That is the thought. That's still 2 at 12. And then 1 there. Yeah, I might drop Blood Magic, though. I think I'll still keep Master of Whispers. Rigor Mortis is nice. I think I might want a snare. Hang on. What good snaring options do I have? That is not the direction of water magic. Slippery ground, shard storm. Maybe I want... Man, I really want more experience on him. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just way too powerful for what it costs. Actually, do I have... Yeah, Ice Prison would be good. 14 seconds of not going anywhere. Huzzah. It just does too much. Too efficiently. It needs to have a substantially longer recharge, or cost more energy, or be an elite skill. Although, part of the problem there is it would have almost no competition. Like, if Death Blossom's an elite skill, I guess you just bring Death Blossom. But it would do a little bit. It would mean that you couldn't use it in Shadow form, for example. I think Warrior has a number of things that could be brought up in power. I think swords are a little underpowered, for example. But I think I will generally agree that warriors don't tend to have overpowered stuff as much as other professions do. I'd have to think about that a lot more, though. I feel like there's some qualifiers going on there. You know what? I can go Water Trident. Yeah, dervishes and assassins both outclass warrior in terms of being melee attackers, generally speaking. I do have Spiteful Spirit. That would be better damage than Water Trident. You know what? I feel like just running Water Trident, so... Never mind. Better. Okay, I do have Dunkoro with me. Good. He needs to be here. I'm going to try this, see if I can get Masters or not. I might not be able to. Masters is... challenging. I really wish you could use this out in the map, but the fact that they force you to have the Fiery Dragon Sword is probably part of why you cannot just use Ritlock Brimstone anywhere. Let's make haste to Vabbi, yes. Your Moddok Crevice. The secret route that everyone knows about. Actually, I'm going to switch over to my Radiant Armor here. I think I want the energy. Swap these. I really like warriors, though. There's a lot of cool elites in strength, even if a lot of them are kind of not great. Gwen, all of the iris flowers are provably not dead, unless you're talking about the ones specifically in Ascalon. Okay, I'm not going to worry about this too much. These guys are fairly underwhelming, and I probably have more damage than is strictly speaking necessary. If anybody's wondering why I'm giving him Icy Prison, or is it Ice Prison or Icy? It's Ice Prison. It's for the hard part of getting Masters here. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, I've got several warriors. I may have done a dumb. And super over aggroed. By over aggroed, I mean overextended. slow for some reason. I'm not sure why. That good enough? I prefer not to walk into those mandragora. No, this Corsair is still standing still. Okay. I'm having a real humdinger of a time trying to actually use Assassin's Promise here. Okay, Dunkoro. Does Dunkoro have to physically get over there? How does this work? Yep, they're going. Okay, let's go hide by the waterfall. Yeah, that's fundamentally the problem. Like, there are things that the warrior excels at, but a lot of the things that the warrior is particularly good at are things that are more PvP relevant, as I understand it anyway. I could be wrong on this, but my impression is that most of the things that the warrior is good at, other professions can do better. Yeah. It's some of the hammer stuff and those applications in PvP that the warrior is, like, best at, but unfortunately it's a situation where that's not really that relevant in PvE, so you're better off just killing everything dead as quickly as possible, and in that case, like, Mesmers and Assassins and Dervishes are better. Like, the Elementalist also has problems. It can do some really crazy stuff, though. Like, Elementalist has some legitimately ridiculous things, like the Ether Renewal Infuse health bars. Is the Spirit of Toxicity dead yet? There it goes. But the that, like, give it its a place. I mean, everything kind of works okay in casual PvE, but in the more serious stuff, Ritualist has another problem where it's got, like, 2 good bars and then nothing. I could have dropped on that thing sooner. Part of why I'm feeling slow is because I'm not attacking as quickly without Assassin's Promise. Drunken Master would actually not be out of place. I probably have more use for that than I do for Whirlwind Attack, but oh well. I mean, you're not wrong. Part of the Ritualist problem is it has too many mechanics. It has item spells, spirits, synergies, and weapon spells, and it's like you can't handle all of these different skill types. You need to pick a thing that you do. But oh well. And, like, they're all reasonable ideas. It's just got too many ideas and needed to have been streamlined, in my opinion, anyway. Okay, there's the runners. I want to wait for Ice Prison to recharge, because I want him to use it on that runner. I'll go for that further one. Hey, did it. Okay. How much is the way actually out of here? It's up this, isn't it? That part can be surprisingly tricky. Yeah, I think Rituals was a really good idea. I do agree with something Izzy said, which is that they should have had a different solution than just adding more professions to the game, because it became harder and harder to kind of figure out where each new profession they added was going to exist. I think they're doing a pretty good job with it, but definitely challenging. Hand was offset by one. Yeah. Ritualist needed to be a bit more focused. One of the other issues, like, the Ritualist just is extremely wildly divergent in terms of, like, skill quality and power as well. So, like, the Ritualist has a handful of extremely good skills and then, like, a bunch of chaff. And that doesn't help build diversity either. I think Restoration Magic in particular, it needs a little bit more depth. At the same time, Men, Body, and Soul and Spirit Light in particular are way too powerful. Go ahead and drop that on me, please. I'm about to get spiked hard. Can I get close enough to this guy to... I can. Excellent. Can't really do much once I'm there, but... Yeah, I'm also not super familiar with what Sabway stands for. I feel like I remember hearing it back in the day, but I don't... I suspect this guy can't be knocked down. And I suspect a lot of my team is rather focused on the guys up there. Well, he's going down very slowly. No, maybe is a little too focused on things other than dipping. Cool, Wayhan Terraces. This is now Vabbi, which means, as I quickly whip the camera around, Sabway was created by a person called Sab. Oh, well, that makes sense, actually. He used the Necro Writ system with only 3 heroes allowed and was able to roll a lot of content. He was the first. Oh, yeah. Because using Necromancer Ritualist healers because of the power of Spirit Light and stuff. That sort of thing. Yeah, because there's a lot of Discord Way and stuff back in the day as well. I think the dual class system is a great idea, but I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult to balance from certain like mindsets, and I feel like I'd have to talk to Zabway preceded Discord Way. Okay, I'd have to talk to let's see, I get a general Nightfall booster for getting to Vabbi. Bunch of good Earth magic. We'll look at this in a second. It pops up in a separate window, so y'all can't see it. Oh, good. I got another copy of Rebirth. I don't know why it likes to give me that for a Resurrect, but here we are. Thinking of Clumsiness, Disrupting Dagger, Steam, Renewing Surge, Working Shot, Natural Stride. Oh, Mirror of Disenchantment. That's good. That's really good. I'm going to immediately go to Dunkoro. Or no, here. Okay. I would rather have Mirror Disenchantment than Shatter. Yeah, but I would love to talk to Izzy about how he went about trying to balance stuff. I feel like he didn't balance things the way I would want to try to approach balance. I don't feel like he's trying to balance things the way like a trading card game would be balanced, like Magic or something. But I don't know for sure how he was kind of processing that stuff and thinking about it. Okay, I'm gonna change Master Whispers. I don't really need him doing that, and I'm gonna go ahead and give him Spiteful Spirit because Spiteful Spirit's great. Yeah. Precisely. I think I want another copy of Remove Hex. I should have 30 bajillion of those. Yes. Wish I had more resurrection options, but, you know, neither here nor there. I could give him Resurrect. It's not great, but... yeah, it's just one of those things where I would love to talk with him and, like... So, here's the thing, right, is I look at a skill like Withdraw Hexes, and I see they really struggled with Hexway in PvP, and I'm looking at Withdraw Hexes and I'm like, why is the skill built backwards? What I mean by that is this actively does not want you to remove a lot of hexes because each hex that you remove makes it take longer to recharge. What if it had like a 60-second recharge that decreased for each hex removed this way? So that way it was basically hot garbage against like 1 or 2 hexes, but if you're removing like a hex from like a bunch of hexes from all of your party members, it recharges instantly. Like, make it absolutely crush Hexway. You could have done that, and that to me at least would have been something to try, rather than having an elite that nobody will ever use, and then be like, I guess we needed to introduce Divert Hexes to try to deal with hexes. Like, you have Withdraw Hexes already. This was a faction skill, if I recall correctly. Actually, I can check right now. Sort by campaign. Dude, what you know? Withdraw Hexes, faction skill, already exists. Divert Hexes, Nightfall skill. So, like, they could have done something with Withdraw Hexes to make it really, really powerful against people who are trying to mass spam hexes, but not great against teams that only had a few hexes here and there. And then you kind of create this thing where if, like, hexes rise up too much, it would have at least been worth trying, is my point. Yeah, like, I don't know why he just killed Smiter's Boon instead of making it do something different. Like, you could have made some of it very, very different. Zealous Fire, you could have just made the functionality different. Yeah, I agree. I don't think, like, looking at the game from where I'm at right now, I don't feel like Isaiah Cartwright knew how to balance the sort of game Guild Wars 1 was. That's how it feels to me. I would like to talk with him and try to ascertain, like, how he was analyzing stuff and processing things. But I recognize, too, when they are going to Guild Wars 2 and they're like, we want to try to have a flat balance. That's a terrible idea because a flat balance is inherently boring because there's nothing interesting to accomplish with it. There's no, like, room for finding good ideas. So it just kind of becomes whatever. And so, like, getting new skills is less exciting than things. Not to mention, like, a perfectly flat balance is basically impossible to achieve anyway. Without it being, like, everything being legitimately equal or the same. But, like, the removal of energy, I don't know how that ended up happening. But I have a lot of, like, looking at the transition from Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2 and the things that they did, I'm like, it feels like you're kind of giving up on the system. And I think they were. I wish they hadn't. But, anyway. My bar is way over elaborate for what we're doing here. I don't mind some of the concepts. Let's just drop this. Let's see. I have often found myself enjoying a bar with those two. this guy. I feel like I've had another dropping skill, knockdown skill. Drunken Master. I want Drunken Master to make things go a little bit faster. Is there an elite that I actually want on this bar? Not super much. I feel like there should be something that I should want. But I'm not sure what it would be. A legitimate problem with Assassin, if you ask me. Doesn't surprise me. Okay, well, whatever. We're just going to run without an elite because there's nothing that I want to run in my elite slots, so we're just not going to. I forgot to grab the quest. Hang on. I need to go grab the quest. Does the assassin boss... Hang on. I need to check something. Vatendi? Vatendi? Yeah, Vatendi Valley. There's a boss here with Wastrel's Collapse that I absolutely want to capture. Doesn't matter. Doesn't spawn at this point. Steady Stance boss does. Do I want Steady Stance? Do I have Steady Stance? Step 1. Check for the presence of the skill that you would consider capturing. I think Steady Stance would be fun to have available. Okay, I'm dropping that in favor of Signet of Capture. So I can grab Steady Stance. Yeah. Be in there somewhere. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I have one of each profession in Guild Wars 2, but I don't play the game because I legitimately find it, like, it maybe gets, it's maybe fun for like half an hour, and then it's just like, it's just boring. I forgot to grab the quest again. Wame, I believe. It's just a game that I find boring, where it feels like it's just... I don't feel like I have enough room of input to actually do anything other than just try to spam damage as much as I can, and I find it ends up becoming very boring to play. I legitimately wish that wasn't the case, but there's a lot that I really like about the game. I do feel the ease of changing up your character's appearance in terms of like armor skins and dye colors and everything makes that a little too ephemeral and like lacks a sense of commitment and thus investment. But that's like a personal thing. I don't think that their system of dyes and everything is a bad idea. To me, it makes things feel a little too fleeting in a way, or like a little too lacking in commitment. But like I said, that's very much so a personal reaction. RP time. Really? You D-shotted me. Well, that's annoying. Basically, I feel like they streamlined the interest out of it without introducing other areas of interest. And I feel like Guild Wars 2 exists too much somewhere in this like nebulous zone between Guild Wars 1 and a full-on action game. Yeah. Nah, you only get fantasy stuff. Hey, Connie. And like, there's just a lot of design compromises that the game required. Because of some of the stuff that they're doing with it and making it the sort of game that it is. And I don't... I don't like the decisions, but I don't think that that inherently makes them bad necessarily. They're just not what I would prefer. And there's a lot of people who feel that way. I think from the standpoint of making a sequel, it's probably a good idea to try to be a little bit more mechanically similar to the previous game. If you want to move things, it kind of needs to be done, like, over time. Otherwise, you kind of risk alienating people, but... And that definitely happened. And there's people who really like Guild Wars 2 who like Guild Wars 1. And then there are people like me who don't like Guild Wars 2 who like Guild Wars 1. And then there's going to be people who like Guild Wars 2 who don't like Guild Wars 1. Although I think that's a less bad direction to have that happen in, whatever that's worth. So much stuff is very subjective, though. And people who are playing Guild Wars 1 over Guild Wars 2 and don't like Guild Wars 2 are going to be naturally inclined towards a certain bias. Very aware of in my own self. I need to spend some time doing dungeons with her, but I'll do that after I finish Nightfall. I would like to get Dwarf up to 5. Yeah. It's not... the thing is, it's just not easy to mend. What they would need to do for me is they'd need to either pick a direction. If they're going to make a Guild Wars 3, they need to pick a direction. Either they move further away from Guild Wars 1, or they move closer to it. It doesn't matter to me too much which they do. I enjoy plenty of action games. But it needs to be one way or the other for me to be interested. I would not want to play another game that's mechanically in the same spot that Guild Wars 2 is in. It just doesn't appeal to me. One thing that I would love to see is I'd love to see them trying other stuff with the Guild Wars property other than MMOs. A game that I would really love to see would be actually a tactics game, like a Fire Emblem. Set during the Guild Wars following the rise of King Adalburn to power. You didn't really like GWG because it was so different? Yeah, and I don't know if I would enjoy some of the expansion content more. Like, does the game become a lot more fun when you have mounts? I played some of Heart of Thorns, but that's all the further I got. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, and it's not worth it to me to spend money to try to find out. I'll show you that one. Not currently. It's too risky of an experiment. There's too many other games to buy that I do have a much stronger interest in. Heck, I'd rather get another Guild Wars 1 character slot, because I know I'll enjoy that. I'm just glad they're keeping this game around, quite frankly. I am very grateful for that. Yeah, I feel like that's the format that would work best for telling that sort of story, too. A tactics game. Low max level, skins only, no mounts, and you can instant map everywhere. Yeah, I'd never played a persistent world MMO like Guild Wars 2 before Guild Wars 2. Like, I had been a fan of Warcraft 3, but I never got into, like, I heard about WoW and I'm like interested, and then I learned about the subscription fee and I stopped being interested, like, immediately. Whether or not I would have enjoyed it, couldn't tell you. But I was aware of things like EverQuest, but I never played them either. And so, like, Guild Wars 1 is a fantastic game for what I like. And Guild Wars 2 is, like, very exciting sounding, but I think if you're going to have a subscription, you have to really, really earn it. Or it has to be fairly low. But everybody's going to have different ideas, different opinions on different monetization schemes, so. Oh, lockpick broke. Yeah. Although, one of the things Guild Wars 1 would have going for it now is it's a really, like, GVG and a lot of the PvP stuff in Guild Wars 1 is, or at least was back in the day. I don't know how most people feel about it now conceptually, but I thought it was fantastic as a mode, and with we can argue about where balancing should be, but, like, as a concept, I think it was really, really good. Unfortunately, the game was a little bit before all of the esports stuff came to be. Let's see, I do have the Nightfalls book, right? Yeah. Pokemon Passage goes right there. We'll get to it. What was this? Survivor. Okay, I was making Survivor armor. We're going to be making Survivor armor. Yeah, I think that they should have gone with the Magic the Gathering model in more ways than one as well. One of the other ways in which I think a Guild War or a Magic model would have worked would be to have the rather than adding new professions, adding new skill types and stuff. Yeah, I agree. It just was a bit too early. I think GVG is a fantastic, like, PvP experience, personally, but it was ahead of its time. Unfortunately, and as a result, didn't really get a chance to shine. Like, I seriously think that GVG nowadays would have a lot more potential to be something, you know? Like, big. Like, there were tournaments back in the day, but it was way too early in the esports scene internationally. Like, I think they developed, like, the founders, I mean, they came from Blizzard, and they saw StarCraft and what that was doing in South Korea, and were like, we think we can do something in that same space. And I think they did. They just didn't have enough, like, the rest of the world's esports infrastructure, for lack of a better term, just wasn't there to support that vision, unfortunately. I got the impression from some of the stuff Jeff Strain wrote that he was glad to not be part of Blizzard back then when he left. This is why I have Rigor Mortis. It is clearly not being enough. I saw a statement from Jeff that, like, some of the issues that have been coming to light lately, not new, and had been, in fact, in place back when he left, and were, in fact, part of the impetus for leaving. So, you know, we might have Blizzard's sexist policies to thank for Guild Wars. How's that for an interesting concept? Makes me think of hearing the argument that Jerry Ryan joining Star Trek Voyager is partly responsible for Barack Obama becoming president. Going something like, they put enough strain on her relationship with her husband that their relationship fell apart, and then he was running for like Illinois Senate, and then a bunch of stuff related to the divorce. I don't know the chain of events. I've seen it written somewhere, but that it basically led to her ex dropping out of the race and opening up the way for Barack Obama to become senator, thus leading to his presidential run. Okay, let's see what we get out of this chest. Kept my lockpick and got a coin defender. It is thought-provoking. Sleep it now in fire. There's probably times in which plus 10 armor versus fire damage is quite useful, but I'm not sure when they are, and I certainly am not going to make a specialized shield for that in PvE. I have no idea if anybody's looking for them. Man, I wish... One of the things that I really wish we could have in this game is an auction house, because I have some stuff I would like to be able to sell off, and trying to do so is not easy. Got a couple of frog scepters and a bunch of elite tomes that I want to sell. Plus, I'd really like to find a copy of Law and Order for this character. I saw someone selling them in Commandant the other day, the Law and Order daggers, but that person was AFK, so no hope of attempting to buy them. Well, they might be a little bit beyond my price range. I think they're about 15 to 20 ectos or something like that in that general vicinity. We haven't aggroed those guys, have we? Looks like the answer is yes, we have. Yeah, I think farming some of those elites, or some of those greens, is quite challenging. I wouldn't mind trying to buy them from players, it's just finding somebody who's selling them and being able to coordinate and everything is unfortunately not a trivial exercise in this game. It'd take a while, I'm sure, to get them to drop. I don't know why I'm talking to that guy. I'm going to zone in a moment anyway. They are. I want them for being icy enchanting daggers. Because they're really cool. Figuratively and literally. Oh, the Bone Dragon... Is that the Bone Dragon staff? Yeah. I can kind of understand Chaos Gloves for some characters, but, like, they have to match my fashion sense. Like, this armor set where the gloves are disconnected from the shirt, I could like Chaos Gloves, but when the gloves, when the shirt, like, is supposed to connect in a uniform fashion with the gloves, I do not like Chaos Gloves. I wish we could craft Chaos Axes. That would be sweet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my understanding is that Embark Beach was originally a map created to be an auction house, but then they couldn't get it working with Guild Wars 1's pack for some reason. I don't really know why, but I certainly believe them that it was like too onerous to be able to actually implement. But I wish that they had been able to figure it out for this game. The other thing that I would have really liked, or would really like, is I'd like a better way to get weapon mods, inscriptions, and everything. Either a weapon mods trader, that would be fine with me, or a back your map. I'm gonna use steady stance, right? You just wild glove me. That's rude. Or the other thing, yeah, farming mods is a pain in the rear end. The other thing that I would consider as a reasonable way of handling it is to have a is to be able to like buy them for like some, I don't know, 20 to 50 copper Zaishan coins. If you could effectively like purchase them that way, that would also work for me. I have a forget-me-not I want to sell, actually. Theoretically. Interfacing with trading in this game is just not something I'm interested in doing. Something like that. Hey, I'd be happy to trade a forget-me-not for a Law and Order. How's that? But yeah, it is something ridiculously overpriced. You know what? Sure. We will go do this portal. Does it go for 30E? Last I tried checking, it seemed like it was 15 to 20E for Law and Order, but I could see it going all over the place. The market is so destabilized because of how decentralized it is. Yeah. Ridiculous. I know. And, like, even Commandant chat, like, is super, like, has holes in its system, because you have to find people who are actually saying how much they're trying to buy or sell things for, and then everybody kind of needs to, like, agree that, yeah, no, those are the prices that they're going to be, and it's... If people aren't saying what the prices actually are that they're trying to sell things for, they're just like, want to sell item, and it's like, well, for how much? And to make it difficult to know what the value of things is. Like, the best system we have, and it's still terrible. It reminds me of Pokemon Battle Revolution. Ooh, bye. Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, I don't care for haggling. Just tell me what the price is, and if that's the price that I want to buy it at, that's the price I'll buy it at. But I don't have time in my life to play the Commandant games, the issue. But part of it is just the luck of the draw of being on when somebody who actually wants to buy the thing you're selling is on, or vice versa, and selling the thing you're wanting to buy. Remember, it's harpies, not Paula Wajoko, but harpies that are the true scourge of Vabbi. Where do you think you're going? Heck, even a trader for greens would be really nice. That seems like it would be easier to do than just generic stuff. A green trader and a weapon mods trader. ArenaNet, I don't think you're going to make it happen, but if you did, I'd be very happy. Of course, you'd run into the problem of the 100k cap in your inventory. I don't know if they could boost that, though. Surely they could increase the money cap, right? Let's see. Depends upon how it's internally stored, but if it's internally stored as like 100 times 1,000 is 100,000, that's not any sort of, yeah, I don't know. Well, the thing is, there's a lot of other trading that people do. Because a lot of the really expensive trading isn't for green weapons, as far as I'm aware. Is it? I don't know. I don't even know what the economy looks like. It's like excessively rare minis and very rare skins with good stats. Yeah. Which I wouldn't be able to handle at all. How do I want to roll this? I want to self-heal of some kind. I probably can get away with less critical strike. Put him some shadow arts. Do I want Shroud of Distress? Shadow Refuge? Shadow of Distress is... I don't know if this is efficient or not. Okay, let's drop this for Beguiling Haze as well. You can actually speed this one up a lot with Ebon Escape. Like, there's no reason that they couldn't increase the cap as far as I could understand from a data storage standpoint. Because right now, because they very much so try to optimize data size. Like, if this is just stored in gold, and then they show platinum as part of like the UI conversion, then like maybe they're using 9 bits. I think 9 bits could hold it, but I don't know what the maximum value in 9 bits is. Probably 120,000. Something-ish. Yeah, 65535 is maximum for 8. No, that's maximum for 16. So it would be 17. That would then add one more. But that would just be really wonky. I don't know. I don't know how they have things working under the hood, is what this comes down to. Let's just roll with Shadow Refuge. I have an invitation. I'm ready to do the festivities. It would be very, like, it wouldn't be, I don't know how cheap it would be. It would certainly cost something for them to bump up capacity to, accommodate a like if everything is stored in like, or if character money is stored in 17 bits, bumping it up to 32 bits would cost a bunch of data space depending upon the number of characters there are. Like it's going to be like, it's not much per for an individual character, but it's going to add up, sort of thing. But I legitimately don't know how much that would add up to, and they could theoretically increase it so that we could carry like 1 million platinum on a character or something without it being a big deal if they just used an int there. But I don't know, like, what I'm saying is it's a very arbitrary restriction. They do have the servers on the cloud. It's on AWS, as I understand it. It's on Amazon Web Services. I'm not sure how it would affect the databases or how any of that data storage is set up. Okay, time for me to focus. I'm not going to really be able to read chat while beating Lumo, so we're going down silent now. Hi, Lumo. Don't confuse roar and cheer, everyone. You have to look at their data model. Yeah. Like, it's the sort of thing where I feel like you could make the adjustment, but you definitely have to have, like, some sort of converting process to convert it from the old format to the new one, I would think. Depending upon how data is stored and how it's being interpreted and everything. Magnificent, the gift of your head. I wonder how often she's been murdered for her vase. And I don't know what their back-end data structure looks like, so. I'll reenact the Battle of Jahai. But not until after I drink Zillow under the table. Keep in mind, like, they set this stuff up back in 2005. So I don't know if they had any sort of overhauls in any of that or anything else. But stuff that was around, or stuff that's around now, might not have been how they wanted to do things in those days. And they're also trying to make the game as efficient as possible for them to run, so that would mean minimizing the amount of packets that they were sending. Like, they're trying to make sure it would work okay on 2005 internet in the United States, so. I'll leave horticultural on with his drink. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Good old C++. I haven't done any major C++ coding in a long time. I mostly do C# stuff. Well, I've been doing a lot of JavaScript lately is what I've been doing. Because I have been working on an RPG Maker MV game, and that uses JavaScript. It took me quite a while to get comfortable working with it, just because I'm really used to my super well-defined types from working with C family languages. And so getting used to JavaScript's cavalier attitude about data types took a while to get comfortable with. I'm mostly okay with it at this point, but very uncomfortable for a little bit there. Yeah, I don't think JavaScript is going anywhere. The thing is, it's just like too baked into stuff. For backwards compatibility, it needs to be around, like, and then you go beyond, like, people are going to keep using it. Because if a tool's around, people will use it. That's why it's so hard for Microsoft to deprecate anything with Windows. Okay. I got something. Give me my gold coins. Okay. Rendu, who has the next thing? Yes. All's well that ends well. Okay, let's get my party back. I had Ogden, Dunkoro, Olivia, Gwen, Daedalon. Master of Whispers was running around with us. There was another person too. Zed. I'm gonna drop Zed. And Master of Whispers, and then put on Zed and Zenmai. Because I want Zenmai to level up. Master of Whispers is at level 20 now. They tried telling me not to learn SQL as well. SQL SQL, it's something query language, standard query language. I don't know what the structured query language. Okay, it's the standard language used for databases, as far as I understand. Yep. So useful to learn if you want to do anything with databases. Oh, I do have trade contracts over there in the pool. I don't believe I need these. Like, does somebody want to sleep down in the fire? I have no idea, but I'm not going to bother trying to figure it out. And I'm not going to hang on to it either. Used for a specialized farm? How am I going to know? Without doing too much, spending too much time on research. Major spear mastery. Okay, it's worth exactly the nothing I thought it was. Someday I'll finish this RPG Maker game, and then I will make a game in Unity, presumably. Or we'll see where things are at that time. And then I will start making stuff heavily inspired by Guild Wars 1 and its systems. Okay, we're going to sell some bones, because I have too many bones, apparently. Those are my general plans. Let's see where they go. This interface is very clunky. Okay. I have, what, 5 Ecto right now? Yeah, I'm not buying anything with just raw ecto. That's of particular notes. Let's go do a journey around the Mirror of Bliss. There's a bunch of stuff to capture there. I'm going to go take a quick peek at what is available to capture in the Mirror of Bliss. Oh, yeah, I need to go back to that place, too. Okay, we'll work our way back. Mirror of Bliss. Anthem of Guidance. I already have Ebon Dust Aura. I captured that in Eye of the North. We are going to go by that boss, though. Brian the Chosen has Anthem of Guidance. Okay, it looks like he's also along the way, though. So let's drop this. Go Paragon, and I need to actually go buy some more Signals of Capture. Hang on. Well, they only were a currency in Guild Wars 1 because of the 10k or the 100k trade cap. Like if character / trading wasn't capped at 100 platinum, then there would be no reason for players to find a secondary currency. But because of the cap and the relative value of items exceeding that cap, players started using ectoplasm as like the most valuable stackable object that's like standard to use as a secondary currency. They could have used like Runes of Superior Vigor if they wanted to, but for some reason there was a lot more use for runes. And it was just a lot more straightforward to farm ecto. I think that's part of why it ended up that way. I need to go to the skill trainer if I'm going to buy a Sequence of Capture. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of things that kind of go into ecto being kind of the secondary currency picked there. Arm braces also just kind of naturally evolved in kind of the same sort of way. Yeah. Three hero skill points. Are there any Paragon skills I want on this character? Wearing Spear is not great. No, not really excited about any of those. Sure, Mystic Sandstorm. And Staggering Force. And Veil of Thorns. Sounds good. The biggest thing is like learning programming languages in general will give you like your second programming language is a lot easier to learn than your first, typically speaking, just because you've learned a lot of the logic and conventions, and it's more a matter of learning how the syntax of a specific language works, as well as any like particular quirks of that language. Like once you get the idea of how loops work and variables and math and all that sort of stuff, what operators are, and some of those general concepts. There's always more specifics you can get into on any given language, but learning like the basic way to do stuff, the logical concepts usually transfer, and the hard part of programming in my experience is more having to do with figuring out the logic of how to accomplish something. And so like because those logical constructs transfer and those ideas transfer, going from one programming language to another is substantially ease. So that first language is always probably going to be the hardest one. Not acceptor. And I think I kept that lockpick, which is kind of nice. I think, like, if I were in charge of education these days, it would easily, everybody would have some amount of programming class. What language? I don't know. And any of that would be something that would need to be worked out as a step. But I just think it's in the modern age where everything's built on computers, having an understanding of how programming works is extremely useful because it will give you a better understanding of how your devices are going to work and the feasibility of various things and stuff. And demystifying the function of the electronics devices, the computers that we're using every day, I think is extremely valuable. So I'd be heartily in favor of making sure everybody gets a little bit of an education in programming, even if they're not going to be a programmer, even if they hate it and they suck at it. Well, I'm not going to go back for those gold coins. I think it's worth it for everybody to spend some time just like trying to study. Case statements and if statements are very, 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 very similar, depending upon sort of how the language implements them. Case can be a lot more efficient. Switches can be a lot more efficient. Because they can be made to be like jump tables. But that's if you're working off of raw numbers. And not doing things like strings and if statements, or cases with strings and stuff. If it's just numbers and they're incrementing, then there can be some optimization that can occur under the hood. But fundamentally, yeah, like a bunch of ifs and case statements are very, very, very similar. Like you could rewrite one as the other, and vice versa. Well, this is the boss that I wanted to fight, so that's good. That's what I'm saying. The Switch. How are you using? What language are you using that uses case outside of Switch? Outside of us. Okay. Now I'm getting my brain all messed up. Switches and cases, right? I don't have reason to talk to him. I'm just going through the zone transition. You know what? Maybe I'll just use Anthem of Guidance as my elite. Poor encoder. Getting overloaded, walking through a portal. Out of here, Shadow Arts. I'm going to grab another Signet of Capture. Maybe? No, that's premature. This goes to Resplendent Macoon. What am I thinking? Resplendent Macoon goes there. Oh no, I do want another Signet of Capture because Resplendent Macoon does have an elite in it. Okay. Just wanted to make sure my brain wasn't forgetting things. So the real question is how often do you typo? This is such a weird... I don't know why this is in command, by the way. It literally has nothing linked to command. How often do you accidentally type Brecca instead of break? Good to know it's not just me. I do that way too much. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, so switches will be like switch on this variable or this thing. And then you basically like, if it's this case, do this. If it's that case, do that. And at the end of a case, you need to tell it to break to get out of, to not, like, that case is done. The way programming languages handle this can be a little bit variant. But if you don't include a break in C++, it will just go on to the next one. Different languages will handle sort of the requirements around that differently. C#, for example, allows you to have multiple cases go to the same thing, but there can't be any code in there. Whereas, like, C++, you can have code and then have it automatically fall through to the next case statement. And then break will break you out of the switch and into the next thing. And there's other uses for break as well. You can use it to get out of loops, being the primary other thing that it does. But it's one of those things where if you're writing a bunch of switch statements with cases and stuff, you're going to be typing break a lot, and it's really easy to accidentally type breka instead of break. B-R-E-K-A instead of B-R-E-A-K. This is like breaking out, right? Oh, uh-huh. Yeah, there's... Sometimes, for just getting stuff done quickly, you code it rigid. And because it takes a lot more time to not have stuff coded as rigidly. But then that can come back to bite you later if parameters change or whatever. But yeah, I can understand where you're coming from with that. I prefer to have code that's not as strict, like they're not as hard coded, but then it takes a lot more time to like set up the structures for everything. But code that's less hard coded in terms of parameters and things tends to be a lot more long-term reliable because it doesn't have as much, like, it can't find that those hard-coded things are suddenly wrong if there's nothing hard-coded. I assume you're talking about like hard-coded variables and things. Or, like magic numbers. I want to go down here. There's a town down here that I want to get on my map for multiple reasons, one of which is because I just really like it. Seems like a good enough reason. Lockpick broke. Got a purple this time as well. I think I got a couple golds out of that. Lockpick. A couple of open chests. I don't know. I'm not really going for Chest Hunter. In my opinion, a lot of those titles are a bit much. The number of chests you have to open to get like that maxed, or the number of golds you have to get to max wisdom. Like, I've done 1,571 golds, and that's like good for rank 4 of like 10 or something ridiculous. Like 10,000 golds or something, I don't even know. It's just like you have to dedicate so many resources trying to max out those titles. It's just not interesting to me to do. Good old Yanner Market. Okay, let's drop that. Yeah, no thanks. I have better things to do with my time than open that many treasure chests. I'd rather do something interesting. That's really what it comes down to. Okay. Let's just put Falling Spider in here. I'm content with that. See, I wish golds would reliably have max stuff. Because that Seize the Day is 1 point off max. This is not a particularly good staff. I wish that Seize the Day was max, though. It'd be useful if it were. Okay, not on a staff, in a, like, wand or whatever. I don't... The only reason why I could see doing a Seize the Day staff is if you still want an enchanting mod. But it's a high energy set, so it's kind of an emergency swap, too. I really like the visual stylings of this particular town. It's got a really nice evening vibe. I really enjoy that. Let's put away. Okay, I want to go capture... Don't know why I had 2 plat. Oh, I know now, because I used the treasure chest. Like, monthly treasure chest. I don't know if this is the best way of getting over to that floodplain area. Not really good way. Like, you have to go all the way from Chantry of Secrets, Bush Bazaar, Tihark Orchard, and then market here. It's like they just gave stuff ridiculous numbers to give people really long-term goals, what I feel like they did with it. But like you have, over the course of normal play, it's just not reasonable to get to. Although, I will add, I am particularly reluctant to open chests because I feel like they're a scam. The stuff that you get from chests is very rarely worth the key required to open it. So I have traditionally over the years opened very few chests as a result. Not that I think there was any backwards compatibility with that title, so... I'm gonna go over there. That's where the boss was. Unfortunately, the boss that I wanted to capture from does not spawn during the Rally the Princess quest, because otherwise it'd be really convenient to pick it up then. But it unfortunately is not. That's fair. Yeah, I'm not gonna RMT anything. That lockpick just broke right away. Work on that unlucky title track. That's the thing, is you do technically work on a couple things at once with lockpicks. I think we aggro these guys. Yeah, I would not want, the Black Lion chests from Guild Wars 2 are like, nope, 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 nope. I don't want to spend money on the keys for those. We aggro those friggin' plants, didn't we? Yeah, it is. And that's the thing about the Black Lion chests in Guild Wars 2, is they do use real money to get keys mostly. Some keys that don't require, or you can sometimes get some keys some ways, but probably going to want to wrap up fairly soon. It's about 10 p.m. Yes. Might be able to see down there. I don't know if the video quality is good enough or not to do that, but I can hunt A. I mean, somebody's using real money. Either the person that's buying your gold with their gems, or the doing it directly. Yeah, I don't like that system. If they were worth like 5 cents, like, I don't know how much they are worth, to be clear. I don't know how many gems and how that converts to dollars offhand. But they would need to be extremely cheap for me to feel like not completely at the system. No. So players buying gold with gems is player, like, if you're buying gems with in-game gold, that is because a player is getting your gold for gems. That's what I meant. At least as far as I understood it, that was the idea. That's not the boss I want. I want Jeremiah the Unmerciful. Maybe I misunderstood the system. Or maybe I wasn't clear of what I was trying to say. I'm not sure which. Well, I thought that's how it used to work. That you would... Okay, I think we got what I came here for. That you would convert gems into... or you could convert gold into gems or gems into gold. My understanding was that that was driven by player economy. I think I'm going to keep this bar. I'm fairly happy with this. It'll be nice to have the shadow step. Glacial's Collapse works nicely with what I'm doing otherwise here. Although, I think I'll swap those. I'm not sure how you understood me saying things. Because, like, when I first started playing, I was able to, like, use silver to buy a decent number of gems. Like, not even gold. Like, silver to buy a decent number of gems to get character slots. I don't know what the conversion rate is now. But my understanding was that it was driven by player economic demands. Like, player demands. For how much the gem to gold ratio. But that was just how I understood it. I don't know what the underlying mechanisms actually are or anything. And I don't know if it was one way at one point in time and then changed over time either. Yeah, let's just say that's not the ratio it was when I first started. I've never had that much gold at once in Guild Wars 2, and I was able to get the 800 gems for additional character slots, enough to get, at the time, enough character slots for each profession. So that was 8 at the time, because that was before Revenant. There's a decent amount of silver, but the economy was a very different spot for that. Sure. Just breaking lockpicks here. I don't know what that's all about. I need a hand in June's art supplies. I don't need to be keeping that anymore. For anybody who's wondering what I'm doing, I'm just going around collecting the, like, 5 outposts that are on Mirror's list. Well, the 4 that I didn't have already. So the players are giving ArenaNet gold in exchange for gems? Well, how about the other way, then? Like, my understanding was that it was trading them between players. That it was trading... Players were trading... or, like, maybe there was a bank where, like, ArenaNet's bank accepts gold in exchange for gems. So that way it doesn't have to be a simultaneous conversion, kind of like the trading post. But my understanding was that the gold that you were getting for gems came directly from players. And vice versa. That the gems that you were getting for gold came from people who bought them. Such that the only way to get gems for gold, like that whole conversion, was entirely driven by player demand into the system. I mean, again, I could be wrong on this, but that's my understanding of how the system worked. Gonna get his res. I wanted an IM to use strings of it, but it was not unreasonable back in the day, is all I'm saying. It has become like I'm saying, like, it was probably less than the gold for 400 gems back in the day. Or probably not too far from it. Like, maybe it was a couple of gold for the 800 I needed for a character slot. It was a really, really, really bad ratio for buying gold with gems. Like, we're talking 2012 here, so, like, within the first couple months of release. So I'm sure the economy is vastly different at this point. That was a very long time ago now. 9 years. Definitely. Should have hit a different button there. Interesting. Yeah, I imagine the economy is very, very different from when I started. Like, when I started, I remember looking at the hundreds of gold required for, is it tier 3? The highest tier cultural armor, and I'm like, this is completely ridiculous to try to actually get to. I'm quite sure things have changed quite a lot since then. Ah, I see. A lot of people... Are there more legendary swords now than the... Because there was like 3, right? 2 of which you could combine into the third. I have no idea what legendaries look like now in terms of quantities. My impression is that they added more, though. Or have added more. Which is good, because it means that everybody who has a legendary doesn't all have the same look. Not that I know... I don't know how many people have legendaries, but, you know. Although my understanding, the main advantage of legendary weapons in and of themselves is the ability to kind of swap their stats around at will? I have no idea how they work. They added torment weapons. That's reasonable to do. Hopefully, I am not a big fan of a decent number of the Torment skins. The shield is sweet. The hammer is sweet. Oh, really? Because the Torment hammer was like the coolest looking one. In the along with the shield was like the coolest looking Torment weapon in Guild Wars 1. So it'd be a little unfortunate if it looks lame in the sequel. I really like how the Fellblade works in Guild Wars 2. I like it as a great sword much more than as a not great sword. I feel like those maybe don't salvage super well, so I'm just not going to. I don't know, I'm going to do some inventory management soon. Radiant Major Healing Prayers, huh? Okay, I'm just going to continue on to the last zone. That's unfortunate. It feels like they messed up somehow, because, like, presumably it would be more awesome in Guild Wars 2 because of its higher graphical fidelity or like higher graphics capabilities. Where is my... I don't think I have... I think that's Eternal Grove that I'm missing for that title. I have to have some Lightbringer. Okay, 64. We're getting there. That's just crazy. On the other hand, if people want to spend a lot of money on luxury items, I don't really care. I mean, this is my general feeling on economics, is I don't care where the top end is as long as the bottom's high enough. Like, if people want to spend tons and tons of money on luxury stuff, be my guests. I don't feel a need to equal access to luxuries, but, like, at a certain point, like, I want there to be a floor that, like, we really don't want to let people go below this. Video games tend to be a little bit better about that, because, like, merchants have infinite stock for standard goods. It's not like suddenly you're going to get priced out of being able to buy a salvage kit or something. Because the merchants are never going to change their price on salvage kits, so they'll always be equally affordable. What I think is really amusing is the fact that Guild Wars 2 uses gold still, but as their high-end currency, that if it's the same gold, like, there's just been so much, like, adjustment to value. Like, a platinum in basically everybody in Guild Wars 1 who has any money to their name is filthy rich by Guild Wars 2 standards if gold coins are held as being the same between the two. And that amuses me. Okay, I'm going to go back here and fight some people who are doing a Prophecies play. Yeah. Exactly. Good old Resplendent Makun. Resplendent Makuna Matata. Hakuna Matata? I don't know, how do you... Hakuna Matata. I'm trying to figure out how to make that. Is it spoonerism where you swap the starting letters? I don't know, that idea. I think it's too much work. Imagine if they had implemented some sort of thing where you could trade, like, Ecto between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. I wonder which game's economy would be more impacted by that. That would be the interesting one. I think Guild Wars 1's economy would be more impacted. But anyway. I wish this guy wasn't so freaking deep in. Oh, uh-huh. I mean, it is really expensive when you're first starting out. I remember getting my first set of Elite armor, which was Elite Gladiator with the Elite. It was before the Elite Gladiator set had a helmet, so everybody used the Charhide helm. I remember farming up for that. And, like, that one was really hard to get. I feel like after I gotten that one, the rest of them were significantly easier to get. And I don't know what it was specifically about that first one that I did a lot of specific grinding for, and then afterwards is like, oh, all of a sudden I just have money coming out of my ears. But like, that's a bit of a gross over exaggeration, but had plenty of money for buying more armor sets. I don't know what the difference was. It's just like the way that I was farming was just super inefficient, I guess, compared to like the stuff that I was doing later, or maybe there's just like enough time. I have no idea how it ended up working out that way. Okay, we'll let these guys do their little play. And obsidian armor is still kind of expensive. I mean, I think it's getting all of the ecto and everything for it. Is either time consuming or pricey. Not to mention obsidian shards. But on the other hand, I also don't like the visual appearance of the vast majority of Fisher of Wool armor, so it's not a huge deal for me. I have it on one character for the one set that I actually like, and that's only because of your kindly donated the materials for it quite a while back now. But I very much so appreciate that. I'd give them a shout out, but I legitimately haven't seen them around in a while. I think it was Sina's, but I'd have to double check to be sure. I have it written down somewhere. Eventually, they're going to stop talking about Prince Rurik and his conflict with King Adelburn. I do feel like the writers kind of like lost sight of who King Adelburn was as a character. I did over a year ago now is when I started it, and it's finished sometime earlier this year, I want to say. A like really lore focused playthrough of the game. And there's a lot of stuff that stood out to me about King Adelburn and Ascalon and stuff from that. Because, like, I was just kind of... You know how you play through something as, like, a teenager, and so you miss a lot of subtle stuff that you would pick up as an adult, but because you feel like you remember what happened as a teenager, you're not paying attention? Yeah. Hey, Y2KY, good to see you. Yeah, I like Vabbi armor for a number of characters. The gems are definitely a pain to get as well. I mean, the Char are kind of like their thing, right? So. But, like, King Adelburn, at the end of the Last Day Dawn's quest, basically feels like he's a tired old man. Who's, like, he's lost too much and just continues on out of, like, sheer sense of duty. to his people. And he basically is like, Rurik would be proud of you. Is his line there. And when you kind of look at stuff, like he's trying to play a defensive game, and Rurik is being super aggressive. I don't even really get that much of a sense of spite in him at that point, but that's the thing, is I think his hatred of the Char is like overplayed, and his single-minded hatred of the Char, I think, is a diminishment of his character, because what we get in the game is we really get like the Prince Rurik point of view, because we have to remember the Ascalonian military was divided into like a couple of pieces. There's the King's Army, and then there's the Prince's Vanguard. So we joined Prince Rurik's Vanguard. Like, that's who we joined. And so we don't have that many quests dealing with the point of view of what am I looking for here? Dealing with the point of view of the King's Army. We have a few quests, but what's very clear is the King's Army is kind of a more defensively focused, more cautious group, where it's a much more reckless, brash group that is the Prince's Vanguard is. So what you have is you have a few quests here and there, and a few like things that NPCs say where they're basically like, yeah, the Prince's Vanguard is breaking line. Like, the breach is called the breach, not because the Char breached the lines, but because Duke Baradin did. And that was something that, like, whizzed right by me when I first played through. And again, I played through the games so many times, and I kind of, like, glossed through the story because I thought I knew it. And then I went back and I played it carefully, like, looking at all of the lore and analyzing all of it. And I got a very different impression. Very different is a bit strong, but I got a lot more nuance and a lot more perspective on things. Yeah, in Guild Wars 2, I think they ruined his character before Guild Wars 2. In the I don't know why I'm looking for friggin' Draknar's Forge on the Elonian map, but in the end thing that they added for okay, Zenmai's max leveled anyway. Let's get Master of Whispers back in here. This is why I wanted that character slot at the end. But in the that like end victory thing for after you beat the Lich, that they added later to the game, that wasn't originally there. They stuck it in Team Arenas. Like, King Adalbern in that is already showing that sort of like one-dimensional view of him that they have. Because like the thing is, like, King Adalbern wanted to retake his country. He wanted to hold the wall, and he saw Prince Rurik and Prince Rurik's Vanguard with Duke Baradin and everything as being very, like, reckless and breaking formation and letting the Char through the wall. Because people were, like, out of position and they're spreading their forces too thin. Then Prince Rurik leaves and takes a bunch of the population with him, severely depleting Ascalonians' human resources. And potentially, like, food resources, too, in the form of supplies that they're taking. So, like, I think I'm getting really close to Dzagonur Bastion, so I might wrap up after doing Dzagonur. But it's just one of those things where it's very easy to, like, not see the nuance to Adalbern's position, where, like, to some extent, could they have turned things around against the Char if Prince Rurik had been more in tune, in line with his father? Possibly. We don't know. But because there was that ideological division, it fundamentally split the country and dramatically weakened Ascalon's chances of survival. But I think, like, the ArenaNet writers who had originally done that were, I don't know how involved they were at that point in time, but at that point, by the time that they're doing stuff later on, and particularly by the time they got to Guild Wars 2, they'd really gotten a single-minded, like, focus of King Adalbern's just angry at the world. He hates everybody that's not Ascalon. The Char and Kryta. And they'd lost some of the nuance that he had originally had. particularly from like the Last Day Dawn's quest, for example, that really paints a picture of someone who has like been through a lot and like still has warm feelings towards Prince Rurik, and is like, so I feel like the King Adelburn that they're trying to present in the in that final area that they added later to Prophecies shows that they had lost sight of him and had made him a caricature, more so than I think he was originally. But I don't know what to do about that. That's just the way that things kind of appear, and I think that continued on into the writing for Guild Wars 2. That they wrote a caricature for King Adelburn, because that's kind of who they thought of him as, and they weren't. I don't know if they went through and played through the games again and were looking at the lore carefully and were like, no, we think this is who he is, or if they're just kind of like going like, we're trying to get this game done and we're focused on what we're doing, not on what we did, and stuff. Like I could see it kind of going either way. And I don't know what the development process was, so I'm very careful about trying to speculate about a development process I was not a part of, and I haven't spoken to people about. But I don't know. Go after the warriors. It doesn't really matter. But it's just one of those things where, like, King Adelburn has a lot more nuance to him, and I feel like over time the developers or the writers at ArenaNet got a very like caricatured, narrow vision of him and lost sight of that nuance that he originally possessed. So don't know what to do about that or anything, or what more to say about that. But I had also fallen into that trap until I like replayed the game and was really carefully examining the lore. So where do the Rangers show up? Are they over here too? They said that there would be Rangers. Oh, here they are. I should have used Death Blossom there, but whatever. Yeah, Lady Althea has had a pretty big impact. Prince Rurik having the love of his life get murdered by the Char, it very much so like cut a lot of his ties and left him feeling despondent. He felt like they couldn't win. Especially with Rin getting captured by the Char, and where he reconquered it with Stormcaller, but he felt like the Char were kind of an unstoppable force at that point. And like Lady Althea getting captured by the Char is also why Duke Baradin breached the line, like why he made the breach. Where does this want me to go? I think just outside Dzagonur Bastion. But yeah, what happened to Lady Althea is a huge deal, because she was both like Prince Rurik's. I don't know if he ever married her, but he was betrothed to her. They were engaged. They're going to get married. And then Duke Baradin's daughter, which again, like the benefit of that is it unifies the bloodlines as well, because Duke Baradin was supposed to be king, but Adelburn ended up being king instead. Like they're both descended from Doric, but that's who knows how long ago. So they both have like that history. But oh, good. But yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's interesting to kind of think about like some of the complexities of the lore stuff, but also like how hard it is to keep track of to some extent. There is a lot, and my understanding is that their internal continuity has not always been great. Okay, I want to go back to Chantry of Secrets, because they should have the Lightbringer thing available to me now, because I saw the guy had an exclamation mark over his head. I think that's what that means. It should be R1 now. Good. Good. Okay. Try don't kill children. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they didn't kill Gwen. But they certainly emphasized the searing's impacts on her as being pretty intense. I want to check to see if there's any elites that I want to capture here. I don't think so, but... Dzagonur Bastion... Mission bosses... Mage Hunter Smash, Spellbreaker, Invoke Lightning, Anthem of Guidance. I've already captured Anthem of Guidance, so I couldn't want to capture that. Yeah. Mage Hunter Smash, maybe. Where are the other places to capture that? Okay, there is no shortage of places to go capture. Mage Hunter Smash, I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, I know. You can't claim that you don't commit, like, atrocities while after committing an atrocity. Because what you really mean is we don't commit atrocities if it's convenient to us. That's what it ends up meaning. Marganite masks. I think I like to salvage those for iron, if I remember correctly. I don't need that. I don't need that. Don't need these two things. Don't want this key. Yes. And this staff. I mean, I look at this and I'm like, it has a max defense mod and a max fortitude mod, and yet I don't really want it. I don't know. I can't quite bear myself to merchant it at the moment, but... Okay. Miranda. I'm going to go... Yeah, it has a handful of dungeons in it. I'm going to go ahead and defend the Citadel. Master of Whispers, do you have... Yes. Let's allocate those. Make sure everybody's allocated. Okay, good. Okay, Amtur the Mighty. I am ready. And I would like to send all of these guys east. Doesn't really matter, I just want them all in the same spot. Doesn't matter which that spot is. It would actually be a nice place to have Haida if she has incoming and fallback, but I don't know that she does. We just need to hold out until the generals show up, and then we can take out the generals, and then we win! Haha! Okay, I think these guys will generally be fine. But I see they have several spawns over here, so... it doesn't hurt to try to defend a little bit over here. Okay. We'll head back west. I just flagged them to make sure they disengaged. Okay, let's make sure we get this fully our direction. Flag these guys here for the moment and go up this way. Okay, this might be a little bit goofy. Do we have this? Good, good, good. Exactly how I want things. I was using a skill. Okay, generals have spawned. Looks like I can maybe aggressively go after this monk boss. General Nimtac. I'll take that mask. Missed the ruthlessness, or the sense of it from the Yeah. I feel like there's probably a lot of change that had to happen in their civilization to get them where they were, so the 250-year time skip was really necessary to make that work. I am doing very poorly over here. Oh, we're gonna lose this. That's what I get for going this way instead of the other way. I mean, part of what Guild Wars 2 has going on is... Oh, yeah, sure, I like the general being over here. Is it's just a lot more amusement park in general, which is, I think, a side effect of being a persistent world MMO, where you have a bunch of people in the map simultaneously. You can't leave enemies dead because you need things for players to fight, so you have to just respawn them. And you have to deal with, like, mobs of players, and the world boss system adds to it. Like, those are attractions in your amusement park. So I feel like that sort of aspect of it is really detrimental to sort of the seriousness of a tone that you can tell, because it's inherently going to be more gamey in that sense. Just because that's what's going to have to be the case to make the systems work. And you can't really get around that. Now, I'm not sure the community angle that you're talking about, but do you mean the people who are really like... Actually, could you just clarify? I don't want to guess what you mean specifically by apologists, because I'm not super in touch with Guild Wars 2 community, so I don't know the sort of stuff you're referring to. I do have Prosperity on me. Okay, I want to go clear out dudes over here. Okay, Kuntash. All these gold coins. There we go. Okay, if you bring up the Char and human conflict and point out how bad the steering was, or ruthless the Char were, you get apologists saying, that's just the human perspective. Dismiss the idea of any suffering from the Ascalon humans. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, the steering was awful. Like, I think if you wanted to try to bring up a counterpoint to that, you'd have to, like, point to, okay, what happened when the humans conquered the area from the Char, like, ages and ages ago, or however that kind of looked. I think that there's an idea from that standpoint. But the Char were absolutely ruthless with the searing. They are very brutal. Like, there's implication that Althea was burned alive as a sacrifice for the Char. Or the Char burned her alive as a sacrifice to the Titans. Like, that's pretty atrocious. And it's very likely that's not the only one. They enjoyed torturing humans and sending them to be killed in their games with the Siege Devourers, as we saw during Gwen's escape story. I think they were very ruthless and brutal. And to say it's just a human perspective in that conflict feels... Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Those are people who are not looking at the full extent of what happens with the searing. I mean, that's not to say that humans didn't perhaps do a lot of nasty stuff to the Char. War ends up getting that way. And that's one of the things that's tragic about it in real life. But to Guild Wars 2's a Char alliance is good. Seems odd even if it 250 years. I mean, I think that there was a lot that Solma had to do to talk down the Ebonhawk. And even when you look at Ebonhawk, one of the things that's going on there, as I recall, is an event were stuff to deal with humans who did not want to end the conflict. And there was also Char who didn't want to end the conflict. But, like, a lot of that was done by Kryda, who was, like, not nearly as badly ruined by the Char as Ascalon was, and didn't have 250 years of direct conflict because they had the Shiver Peaks kind of buffering them. So I feel like there's some sense there, but I mean it is very, very clearly like severe atrocities were committed. And it would not be an easy to resolve conflict by any means. I don't know. It is a difficult one, but I think like 250 years is enough time that you can kind of say, okay, things have changed sufficiently. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, the searing would be a massive scar. But it's like, I mean, the U.S. fought a massive war with Britain to secure its independence, right? And that was roughly 250 years ago. Like, if you think about 1776, it's like, what, 250 years is 2026 or something? And so it's like, we're, as far as I'm aware, pretty good friends with England at this point, but there was definitely a time where there was some pretty serious conflict between the two countries. So it's not quite as, and I don't want to like say, oh, that Revolutionary War in the U.S. was the same degree of things between as what was between the Human and the Char, but it's like a comparable example in terms of like distance and change to relationship. Comparable's maybe a bit strong, but it's an analogous thing. Just try to get a sense of like the perspective that they're trying to work from. But yeah, I think that like it's one of those things where they've been pressed into a situation where most of the humans and most of the Char haven't been directly fighting each other, because the Char have been dealing with the ghosts for 200 odd years. The centaurs are much more of a problem for humans, and than the Char are for anybody who's not Ebonhawk. So yeah, it would have been good to have something clearer about like the Char's perspective on how they had changed over those 250 years since the time since the Searing, and how they'd come to a position where they're like, we have changed as a society since then. Like having something more explicitly, instead of just being like, oh, that's 250 years, it's now like in the past. Like there's some stuff there, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more loudness on sort of some of that somewhere that's kind of like reflecting on it. But I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot about Guild Wars 2 that I wish was different. But I want to go ahead and wrap up because I want to do some other things to kind of end my day. So I'm going to go ahead and close here. You can follow the channel to get notified when I go live. Next stream will be next week, probably Thursday again. Not quite sure when things are going to start because it's always a little bit variant, but more Shantae and the Seven Sirens and Guild Wars 1 next week. Thank you all very much for watching. Yeah, it has been. I appreciate it. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.